I need you to hear this loud and clear. No one is going to treat you like a queen until you decide you're one. That's the truth. And I know, you want love, respect, and devotion from a man. But here's the thing. Those things don't come from begging, overgiving, or bending over backward to please someone. You want to be treated like royalty? Start by treating yourself like royalty. Because the way you see yourself dictates the way the world sees you. Let's break it down. If you want to be treated like a queen, it starts with knowing your worth. This is the foundation. It's the difference between settling for crumbs and expecting the whole cake. And listen, knowing your worth isn't about arrogance, it's about certainty. It's about walking into a room and owning your space, not because you're trying to prove anything, but because you already know you belong. The truth is, people will only treat you as well as you believe you deserve. If you see yourself as someone who has to prove her value, you will attract people who constantly test you. If you see yourself as someone who must earn love by being overly accommodating, you'll attract those who take advantage of that. But when you walk in certainty, when you carry yourself like someone who deserves respect, admiration, and effort, the world will mirror that back to you. And let's talk about confidence for a second, because confidence isn't just about how you look, what you wear, or how you speak. It's deeper than that. It's about the way you feel about yourself when no one is watching. It's about the standards you hold for yourself in your daily life. Are you constantly second-guessing your worth? Are you settling for situations that make you feel small? Or do you demand the best for yourself, not just in relationships, but in every area of your life? Because when you know your worth, it shows in how you carry yourself. It shows in your energy, and energy doesn't lie. Now, I know this isn't easy for everyone. Maybe you've spent years believing you're not enough. Maybe life has knocked you down so many times that you've started to believe you have to settle for less than you deserve. But let me tell you something. Self-worth is not given to you. It's something you claim. No one is going to come along and hand you a crown. You have to decide for yourself that you are worthy. And once you do, everything changes. When you truly know your worth, you stop chasing. You stop over-explaining. You stop trying to convince people to choose you, respect you, or love you, because you understand that the right people will recognize your value without you having to prove it. You also stop tolerating nonsense. You don't entertain disrespect. You don't engage in situations that make you feel less than you are, because you know that protecting your peace is more important than keeping people around who don't value you. Knowing your worth doesn't mean you won't have moments of doubt. It doesn't mean you'll always feel confident. But it does mean that even in those moments of insecurity, you don't let them define you. You remind yourself who you are. You remind yourself of your strength, your value, and your uniqueness. And you move forward with that knowledge, even when it's hard. The world treats you based on the energy you put out. If you walk around unsure of yourself, if you carry yourself like you don't deserve greatness, people will believe you. But if you own your worth, if you stand tall and refuse to settle, that's when everything shifts. That's when you stop being an option and start being a priority. And that's when men and everyone around you begin to treat you like the queen you were always meant to be. Setting high standards is not about being difficult or demanding. It's about self-respect. It's about deciding what you will and won't accept and sticking to that decision no matter what. Because here's the truth. People will always treat you based on what you allow. If you accept half-hearted effort, inconsistency, or disrespect, that's exactly what you'll keep getting. But when you raise the bar and refuse to lower it, you force people to step up or step aside. Having high standards means you don't settle just because you're afraid of being alone. It means you don't tolerate behavior that makes you feel undervalued, unseen, or unheard. It's about creating a life where the people around you add to your happiness, not drain it. And that starts with being very clear about what you expect and refusing to negotiate on the things that truly matter. The problem is so many people lower their standards because they're scared of losing someone, scared of looking too picky, scared of being labeled as too much. But the reality is when you lower your standards, you lower your value in other people's eyes. They see that you're willing to accept less, so they give you less. And once that cycle starts, it's hard to break. You start making excuses for bad behavior. You convince yourself that at least they're trying or that maybe you're expecting too much. But deep down, you know the truth. You know when someone isn't meeting you where you deserve to be met. So what do high standards actually look like? They look like consistency. They look like effort. They look like mutual respect. They look like actions matching words. They look like choosing people who choose you fully, not just when it's convenient for them. It's not about having an endless list of impossible demands. It's about expecting to be treated with care, kindness, and effort. People who genuinely want to be in your life will meet your standards without you having to beg for it. That's the key. The right people will see your standards and respect them, while the wrong people will see them as a challenge to break down. That's why you have to stand firm, because the moment you lower your standards for someone, you teach them that you're willing to compromise your worth. And once they know that, they'll keep pushing those boundaries, seeing how much they can get away with. This applies to relationships, friendships, work, everything. If you don't set the tone, someone else will set it for you. And if their standards for you are lower than your own, you'll start shrinking to fit their expectations instead of rising to meet your own. That's why it's so important to be unwavering. Yes, it might mean walking away from people who aren't willing to meet you at your level. Yes, it might mean being alone for a while. But that space you create by refusing to settle, that's what makes room for something better. When you set high standards, you attract people who respect you. You attract situations that align with your worth. And most importantly, you send a message to yourself that you are deserving of more. Because you are. The only question is whether you believe it enough to stand by it. Mastering the art of boundaries is one of the most powerful things you can do to transform your life and the way people treat you. Boundaries are not walls. They are not about shutting people out or being harsh. They are about teaching people how to treat you by making it clear what is and isn't acceptable. Without boundaries, you become exhausted, resentful, and frustrated because you allow people to take advantage of your time, energy, and emotions. When you have strong boundaries, you create space for respect, balance, and peace. The biggest misconception about boundaries is that they push people away. That's not true. Healthy boundaries don't push people away. They filter out the ones who were never meant to be in your life in the first place. The people who genuinely care about you will respect your limits. The ones who get angry or offended by your boundaries are the ones who benefited from you not having any. And that right there is the lesson. If someone gets upset because you refuse to overextend yourself, that's proof that they were taking advantage of you in some way. Most people struggle with setting boundaries because they're afraid of disappointing others. They don't want to be seen as difficult or unkind. But the truth is, when you constantly put other people's needs above your own, you end up disappointing yourself. You betray your own needs in an effort to keep other people comfortable. And the irony? The more you do for others without setting limits, the more they expect from you. The cycle never ends until you decide to break it. Setting boundaries starts with knowing your limits. What are you willing to tolerate? What drains your energy? What makes you feel uncomfortable? The answers to these questions will help you define your non-negotiables. The next step is enforcing those boundaries with confidence. This means saying no without guilt. It means not over-explaining or apologizing for protecting your own well-being. When you say no, you are not being rude, you are being clear. You are choosing yourself, and that is never selfish. A big part of setting boundaries is understanding that people will test them. They will see if you really mean what you say. This is where many people struggle because when someone pushes back, they give in. But if you give in, you send a message that your boundaries are flexible, that they can be ignored. And that's when people start taking advantage again. The key is consistency. If you say no, stand by it. If you set a limit, enforce it. The more you do this, the more people will learn that you mean what you say. Another important part of boundaries is emotional boundaries. This means not allowing other people's opinions, problems, or negativity to consume you. You are not responsible for fixing everyone. You are not responsible for carrying other people's burdens at the expense of your own mental health. Protecting your peace means recognizing what is yours to handle and what is not. Some people will try to guilt you into taking on their problems, but you have to remind yourself that you can be supportive without sacrificing yourself. And here's something you need to know. People who respect your boundaries will never be the ones who make you feel guilty for having them. The right people will understand. They will adjust. They will respect your limits because they value you, not just what you can do for them. The people who get angry, who try to manipulate you into feeling bad, those are the ones who only benefited from you having none. That's why boundaries are so powerful. They show you who is truly meant to be in your life. The more you practice setting and enforcing boundaries, the more empowered you will feel. You will no longer feel drained by people who demand too much. You will no longer feel guilty for prioritizing yourself. And most importantly, you will start attracting relationships that are built on mutual respect, not on one-sided sacrifice. Radiating self-love is one of the most powerful things you can do to change your life and the way others treat you. When you genuinely love yourself, it shows in everything you do. It's in the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you handle challenges, and the way you interact with people. You don't have to announce it. You don't have to prove it. It's just there and people can feel it. And here's the thing. When you love yourself, you set the standard for how others love and treat you. Most people think self-love is just about confidence, but it's deeper than that. It's about the way you speak to yourself when no one is listening. It's about the way you treat yourself when no one is watching. It's about whether or not you honor your needs, whether or not you listen to your intuition, and whether or not you truly believe you deserve the best. Self-love is about valuing yourself enough to walk away from things that don't serve you, even when it's hard. Loving yourself means you don't rely on external validation. You don't need constant reassurance from other people to feel good about who you are. You already know your worth. You already know you're enough. And because of that, you don't settle. You don't chase people who aren't willing to meet you halfway. You don't shrink yourself to fit into spaces that weren't made for you. When you love yourself, you choose yourself. And when you choose yourself, the world follows your lead. The way you treat yourself teaches others how to treat you. If you constantly put yourself last, people will assume that's where you belong. If you tolerate disrespect, people will keep testing your limits. If you allow yourself to be used, people will continue to take advantage. But when you show up for yourself, when you take care of your mind, body, and spirit, when you speak kindly to yourself and refuse to accept anything less than you deserve, people take notice. They respect. But let's be honest, self-love isn't always easy. It's not just about bubble baths, affirmations, and treating yourself to nice things. It's about making the hard choices. It's about saying no when you really want to say yes just to please someone. It's about leaving situations that feel familiar but are actually unhealthy. It's about learning to be alone without feeling lonely. Self-love is a daily practice, and it requires discipline. It's about holding yourself to a high standard, not just in relationships, but in every area of your life. A woman who loves herself doesn't need to beg for attention. She doesn't need to force someone to see her value. She knows that the right people will recognize it naturally. And that's the secret. When you radiate self-love, you become magnetic. You attract people who respect you because they can feel that you respect yourself. You attract opportunities because you move through the world with a sense of certainty. You stop settling for mediocre relationships, friendships, and experiences because you know you deserve more. The most beautiful thing about self-love is that it gives you freedom. You are no longer controlled by the fear of not being enough. You stop looking for someone else to complete you because you already feel whole. You stop accepting breadcrumbs because you know you deserve the full meal. And that kind of energy, it changes everything. It shifts the way people treat you. It sets the tone for the relationships you build. It creates a life where you are valued, cherished, and respected, not because you begged for it, but because you expected it. And that expectation starts with you. Speaking with certainty is one of the most powerful ways to command respect and be treated like a queen. The way you communicate sends a direct message about how you see yourself and what you expect from others. If you speak with hesitation, uncertainty, or doubt, people will assume you are unsure of yourself, and they will treat you accordingly. But when you speak with confidence, clarity, and authority, people listen. They take you seriously. They respect your words and respond to you differently. Many people don't realize that the way they speak determines how others perceive them. If you constantly use weak language, if you downplay your thoughts, if you speak as if you're seeking approval, you are giving away your power. Phrases like, "I don't know, but," or "sorry, but I just wanted to say," immediately lower the strength of what you're communicating. Instead of owning your message, you dilute it. Instead of standing firm in what you believe, you soften it to make others comfortable. And that's exactly why so many people struggle to be heard and respected. Speaking with certainty doesn't mean being rude, aggressive, or dominating a conversation. It simply means that you own your words. You don't apologize for having an opinion. You don't hesitate to express yourself. You don't downplay your needs, your desires, or your expectations. A queen doesn't beg to be heard. She speaks and people listen. She doesn't whisper her worth. She states it with conviction. When you embody that level of certainty, the way people treat you shifts. The key to speaking with confidence is believing in what you say. It starts with your mindset. If you doubt yourself internally, it will show in your speech. If you feel like your opinions don't matter, your voice will reflect that insecurity. That's why self-trust is so important. When you trust yourself, when you know that what you have to say is valuable, your words carry weight. You don't need to over-explain. You don't need to seek constant validation. You say what you mean, and you mean what you say. Body language also plays a huge role in how your words are received. You could say the most powerful thing in the world, but if you say it with slouched shoulders, a hesitant tone, or a lack of eye contact, it loses impact. Confidence isn't just in your words, it's in the way you present yourself. Stand tall, make eye contact, speak at a steady pace. Don't rush your words as if you're afraid someone will interrupt. Own your space. Own your presence. The more certain you appear, the more certain people will feel about you. Another important part of speaking with certainty is being comfortable with silence. Many people fill pauses with nervous energy, excessive explanations, or unnecessary words because they are afraid of not being heard. But a queen knows that silence is powerful. She doesn't rush to explain herself. She doesn't beg for a response. She lets her words land. She allows the weight of her message to sink in. When you embrace silence, you show that you are in control. You show that you are not desperate for approval. And that changes the way people react to you. When you speak with certainty, you also communicate boundaries more effectively. If you say, I don't think that works for me, with uncertainty, people will push against it. But if you say, that doesn't work for me, with clarity and confidence, there is no room for negotiation. The way you say something matters just as much as what you say. And when you train yourself to speak with authority, people start to respect your words, your decisions, and your presence on a whole new level. People will treat you based on the energy you give them. If you speak as if you are unsure of yourself, they will treat you as someone who lacks confidence. If you speak with certainty, they will treat you like someone who knows her worth. And when you carry yourself like a queen in your words and your tone, the world will respond accordingly. Carrying yourself with grace and elegance is not about wearing expensive clothes or speaking in a polished manner. It is about the way you present yourself to the world, the energy you bring into a room, and the way you make people feel when they are around you. True elegance is a mindset. It is an attitude. It is the way you move through life with self-respect, confidence, and a quiet strength that commands admiration without demanding it. When you carry yourself with grace, you naturally set a higher standard for how people treat you. Grace is about emotional control. It means not letting people drag you into unnecessary conflict or making decisions based on impulse or insecurity. A woman who carries herself with grace knows that not every battle is worth fighting, not every insult is worth reacting to, and not every situation requires her energy. She chooses her responses wisely. She understands that her peace is more valuable than proving a point. And because of that, people view her differently. They respect her presence. They admire her composure, and they recognize that she is not someone who can be easily shaken. Elegance is not just about how you handle yourself in good times, but how you handle yourself in difficult moments. It is easy to be graceful when everything is going well, but true elegance is revealed in how you respond when things do not go your way. Do you lash out? Do you lower yourself to the level of those who try to bring you down? Or do you rise above, knowing that your value is not defined by anyone else's opinion of you? A woman who moves with grace does not seek revenge or validation. She knows her worth, and that alone is enough. The way you speak also plays a huge role in carrying yourself with grace. Your words have power, and the way you use them determines how people perceive you. Speaking with kindness and intelligence, knowing when to listen and when to speak, and choosing words that uplift rather than tear down, these are all signs of a woman who carries herself with elegance. She does not need to shout to be heard. She does not need to insult others to feel powerful. Her presence alone demands respect because she embodies a quiet confidence that cannot be ignored. There is also an element of self-care in carrying yourself with grace. When you take care of yourself physically, emotionally, and mentally, you naturally exude a different energy. You do not rush through life feeling depleted or desperate for validation because you have already given yourself the love and care you need. This means treating yourself with kindness, taking pride in your appearance in a way that makes you feel good, and maintaining an inner peace that is not easily disturbed by outside circumstances. When you care for yourself, it shows, and people take notice. Another key element of grace is how you treat others. A woman who carries herself with grace does not look down on people. She does not engage in unnecessary drama. She does not need to prove she is better than anyone else because she is secure in who she is. True grace is in how you make others feel, whether you leave them feeling inspired, respected, or valued. It is in the way you handle conflict with maturity, the way you offer kindness without expectation, and the way you navigate life with a level of self-respect that sets you apart. The most powerful thing about carrying yourself with grace is that it influences how others treat you without you having to demand it. When you move with dignity, when you walk into a room with quiet confidence, when you handle challenges with composure, people naturally rise to meet you at that level. You become someone they respect, admire, and value, not because you forced them to, but because your presence alone commands it. Embodying a high-value mindset is about knowing your worth, setting high standards, and refusing to settle for anything less than what you deserve. It is not about arrogance or thinking you are better than others. It is about recognizing your value and moving through life with that awareness. When you carry yourself as someone who knows her worth, people treat you accordingly. You stop attracting relationships, friendships, and opportunities that drain you, and instead you draw in those that uplift, respect, and appreciate you. A high-value mindset is a game changer because it sets the tone for every aspect of your life. At the core of a high-value mindset is self-respect. You don't allow yourself to be mistreated, undervalued, or taken for granted. You don't tolerate behaviors that make you feel small or unworthy. Instead of making excuses for people who consistently disappoint you, you walk away. Instead of over-explaining why you deserve better, you simply expect better. People can feel when you have self-respect, and they either rise to meet your standards or they fall away. Either way, you win because you refuse to settle for less than what aligns with your worth. One of the biggest shifts that happens when you adopt a high-value mindset is that you no longer chase people. You no longer feel the need to prove your worth to someone who doesn't recognize it. You no longer overextend yourself to make people like you. You know that the right people, the ones who truly see your value, will never need to be convinced of it. You do not beg for love, attention, or respect because you understand that if it's not given freely, it's not worth having. A high-value woman invests in herself. She understands that her growth, happiness, and success are her responsibility. She doesn't wait for someone to come along and save her. She doesn't put her dreams on hold, waiting for the perfect time. She actively works on becoming the best version of herself, mentally, emotionally, financially, and physically. Whether it's reading, learning new skills, taking care of her health, or building something meaningful, she prioritizes her self-improvement because she knows that the more she grows, the more she attracts better into her life. Boundaries are a crucial part of a high-value mindset. You don't allow people to drain your energy with constant negativity, drama, or manipulation. You don't overgive to those who only take. You don't let guilt control your decisions. You set clear boundaries and enforce them not out of spite, but out of self-love. You understand that protecting your peace is not selfish, it's necessary. And the people who truly care about you will respect those boundaries without question. When you embody a high-value mindset, you understand that your time and energy are precious. You do not waste them on things that don't align with your goals and happiness. You stop saying yes to things just to please others. You stop allowing fear to hold you back from taking action. You recognize that every choice you make either brings you closer to the life you want or pulls you further away from it. And because of that awareness, you become intentional with your decisions, your relationships, and your priorities. The most powerful thing about a high value mindset is that it shifts your entire energy. You walk differently, you speak differently, you carry yourself with confidence, knowing that you are worthy of the best that life has to offer. People feel that energy and they respond to it. You no longer accept breadcrumbs because you know you deserve the whole cake. You no longer waste time convincing people of your value because you know the right ones will see it without effort. And when you move through life with that level of certainty, the world rises to meet you at that standard. When you know your worth, set high standards and carry yourself with confidence, the way people treat you changes. You no longer have to beg for respect, love, or appreciation. Your presence alone commands it. A queen does not chase, she attracts. She does not beg, she expects. She does not settle, she chooses. When you radiate self-love, speak with certainty, carry yourself with grace, and embrace a high-value mindset, you create a life where you are cherished, respected, and valued, not because you demanded it, but because you embody it. The world will always reflect how you see yourself. So choose to see yourself as the queen you truly are.